Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Job Breakdown. Today we're taking a look at the Scholar, the second of the three healers. Scholar is the healer that I'm probably the worst at, but I have a pretty solid grasp on it. I know at least how the mechanics works. I'm just pretty bad at doing it. So please, any scholars that are in the comments, let me know what I have said that might be incorrect, or if there's anything that could be done better. But we'll go over the basics of what the Scholar brings to the table, what it can do, and how it differs from the other healers. So, as we talked about in the Astrologian video, Scholars are mainly for shield healing, so you can heal a smaller amount than you would with a regular heal, but then you can also put a shield on your target. So, although it may not bring as much raw healing to the table as, say, a White Mage or an Astrologian in Diurnal, the shields that it gives with Adlo are definitely worth it. Being able to just pop that shield on there and get that galvanize effect to nullify damage. There are a lot of times you can stop more damage coming in than someone may be able to heal with like a regen. And that's where Scholar really shines, just being able to drop that shield up, galvanize the entire party, and to be able to just keep fighting. Scholar is the DPS healer as well. They're the one that is going to be able to put out the most damage. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Scholar and Summoner level together. I say unfortunately because I did not level Scholar. I leveled Summoner. And so there are probably some aspects of the job that I'm not sure of, or that I'm not 100% the best on. I don't play it very often because of that reason, because I did not level it. But I do still like Scholar. I did level it from 50 to 60 and then Summoner from 60 to 70. And I think that it's pretty fun to play around with. I think that what it can do with Aetherflow, as we'll get into in just a minute, like we did with Summoner, and its pets is really cool. And of course, being the DPS healer, it has more potential to do damage than the other two healers if you are up on your dots and keep me up. Like Summoner, it has Shadow Flare, allows you to set it up. It has Bio 2 and Miasma. You're able to set those up and let them start doing proc damage with dots. You have your Ruin to be able to get in an instant cast, and that is very handy to have because you can do that while moving without having to worry about getting stuck in place. Cast times. You also have Broil. Broil does a surprising amount of potency damage. It's very nice, and you can kind of just add Broil up to do quite a bit more damage than you really would think it would be able to do. You also have Aetherflow, just like Summoner. It gives you 3 stacks, and you're able to then use Lustrate, which is a very potent heal. 600 potency heal, costs no mana whatsoever, and it increases your fairy gauge if you have a fairy out. We'll go ahead and summon Eos, even though we're not going to get into the fairies until the second half of the video, just like with the cards with Astrologian. But that way you can see the increase. You can drop a Sacred Soil. Sacred Soil also costs an Aetherflow gauge. You've probably seen this You've probably seen this effect many times. Using Sacred Soil, it will also give you a 20% chance that your next sucker will not cost any MP. So it is a great way to put out some really potent healing and shielding in a very short amount of time by Sacred Soil and then Succor. You also have Indomitability, and with that you can use an Aetherflow stack to heal you and anyone else around you. Then, of course, because Aetherflow comes back every minute, you'll want to be uptiming your Aetherflow to always be using it and always be having it so that you can keep it going. You have Excogitation, which is really nice. It allows you to select a party member and restore their HP when their HP drops below 50% or upon the duration for an 800 potency heal over the course of 45 seconds. It's a very powerful heal. Just like with Astrologian, we're going to call in Guaranteed here. We're going to let you see the heal on him just to see how much the numbers would be. Look at that Excogitation. It is going to then, it's a really nice effect. In the 40 seconds, it will come back and it will just hit. You also have things like your Ether Pact that allows you to tether your fairy to a party member. And they will then use the fairy gauge to be able to do some healing. And you can also turn off the Union at any time with Dissolve Union, which is really nice. You have things like Deployment Tactics that allow you to put Eye for an Eye on the target. Then you can galvanize your target. Then you can pop a Deployment Tactics to increase the length of the duration for those. It's very nice. We're about to get that Excogitation. And Excog healed for 28k. So as you can see, very, very nice heal. You have Dissipation that allows you to, we'll just go ahead and use our stacks here just to show it. It allows you to eat your fairy to then get a full stack of Ether Flow again to be able to go back to what you were doing before. You cannot immediately summon again for a little bit. You have a little debuff for your summon. It's this one right here before you're able to summon again. But while your fairy is sent away, you are then able to heal even more. Your potency on your heals are increased. So it's a very good thing of, a very good way of, oh no, tank's in bad shape, party's in bad shape. I'm going to eat my fairy and then have more healing for my 20%, and also be able to get those Ether Flow stacks to be able to pull out a quick Sacred Soil, be able to pull out a quick Excog, to be able to pull out a quick Lustrate, just to be able to save the party. And so it gives you those options that you wouldn't have otherwise, and then of course you can just Swift Cast summon your fairy back again, and you're good to go. The only thing you miss out on is the Fairy Gauge build there, but it's not too bad. You also have access to your basic effects that you had as an Arcanist for Ether Flow. So for instance, we can hit these two. Then we hit a Bane, and that spreads it to the next one. And then we also have Energy Drain, which is another way to get MP back. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but 1200 MP coming back can be very useful at times. For support skills, you have things like Emergency Tactics. So we can turn this Galvanize into HP Recovery instead of a Galvanize, which is very nice to be able to have that extra feature. So with it, you are basically able to just do a regular heal instead of a shield heal, and you get Emergency Tactics back every 20 seconds. So as much as we like to say, well, Scholar is just for shield healing, it's really not. Scholar has the opportunity to be just as potent healing-wise as a White Mage or as a Astrologian. The problem comes in that a lot of times people don't use Emergency Tactics or Excog, and they mainly just want to focus on throwing out the quick heals, doing Lustrates, and I'm just as guilty on that. The few times that I do play Scholar, I have a hard time remembering to use Emergency Tactics, but it's super worth it, and honestly, it should probably be right up here so you can switch between them, because being able to just get those quick heals is really nice. Your Fairy Gauge, it's mainly just to allow you to set up that Fey Union between the two so that your fairy is constantly healing the target, as you can see. Very useful for if the tank is taking a bunch of tank busters or is low on health and you have another target that needs to be healed. You can pop a Aether Pact on them and let that Fey Union start up, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You have crossrolls that you should take. I would take Eye for an Eye, Largesse, Lucid Dreaming, Protect, as always. Then Rescue is another one that I like to bring as well, just to be able to have it in case you need it. And then, of course, Cleric Stance to be able to pop up those Bios, those Miasmas, and those Broils. And, of course, your Ruins. With your pets, because that's the big thing that separates them, other than shields and everything else, from the other jobs. Your pets, you have Eos, which is the first fairy that you get. And then you also have Selene. They each have 4 abilities. You can set them on Obey or Sick. If they're on Sick, they will do their own thing. If you set them on Obey, you can tell them when to do the things. Depending on what I'm running is how I decide if I want to have them on Sick or Obey. Unlike Summoner, where I will normally leave my pet on Sick and just let them do, unless there's a specific mechanic that I need to have, like Ifrit, to be able to shield from with Radiant Shield, I will normally put my fairies on Obey, unless I'm in low-level content, and when I'll just let them Sick then. But you have Embrace, which is just a basic heal. Not too bad at all. Pretty solid. You have Whispering Dawn, which is an AoE that gives you slow regen. You have Fey Covenant, which is magic defense. Very helpful for a lot of fights. And then you have Fey Illumination, which increases HP restoration for anyone nearby by 10%. Eos is the answer to people saying that they want a regen on Scholar, because you have a regen every 60 seconds on Scholar using Eos. And because you can send them where you want to send them, you can put Eos by the tank, have her stay there, and then heal with regens and things like that. Or you can pull her back to you and let her do what you want. A lot of different options. The pets are really cool. The other pet that you have is Selene. And Celine has very interesting moves as well. You have Embrace, which is still just the basic heal. You have Silent Dusk, which is a silence. Very useful for specific encounters. You have Fey Caress, which is still on cooldown, which removes a single detrimental effect from everybody nearby. So if there's a boss that is putting out a heavy status, there's a boss that's using a poison, you can use Celine to be able to get rid of that really easily. And then finally, the most useful is Fey Wind, which reduces weapon skill cast time and and recast time, spell cast time, recast time, auto attack delay of self and nearby party members by 3%, 60-second recast, 30-second duration. You really want to have that going as much as possible. It's great for prog, it's great for high-end content, because you can just be doing more faster. You are attacking faster, you are doing things faster. We'll show it off in just a second here, but it's very, very nice. And of course, we'll build up some union here. It does not matter that you are not using EOS. Celine can also do the Ether Pact with your chosen party member. It's not a big deal at all. The Fey Union starts up again, and you have the HP coming in from that. So, we'll show off Fey Wind. It's very nice. You are then getting your cast faster to be able to attack for longer, or to attack faster over a longer period of time. Very, very nice. Scholar is a very good healer, and is an even better support healer because of what it can bring to the table when it comes to letting the rest of the party attack more, having those shields, being able to turn those shields into healing, and then also having the regen with the EOS. It's also, like we said before, really high on the DPS with Dots and with Broil, with Shadow Flare. It's great for AoE, with Bane. Scholar's in a really good place, and I think it's really fun. I just don't play it as much as I should because I worry that I'm not as good a Scholar as I should be. I have a better grasp of the mechanics now than I did a couple weeks ago because I've been doing some EX roulettes with it, but I really like Scholar. We're going to send away Grantine here. And I definitely think that if you have been worried about whether or not you should play Scholar, you should. Because, again, as much as I think it's not great that I don't know how to play Scholar as well as I know how to play Summoner, because I only leveled one of them for the 60 to 70, you do still get both in one. So if you're not against spending a little bit of time learning them, you get some really cool options. And then I forgot to show off Chain Stratagem here, but look at how cool it looks. With all that said, though, I have been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Scholar has to offer.